The Oracle Network. Look deeper.
This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Welcome to Brew Crime. I'm Mike.
And I'm Beck.
And I'm Nina.
All right, this episode we're going to cover double crosses. So this is where someone double crosses someone else, obviously. So we're going to start out with Beck for this episode. So why don't you let us know what you're going to talk about?
Sure. The story that I'm doing today is called Two Small Sausage and Pepperoni Pizzas with a Side of Deception.
Nice.
And the beer that I got for it is called Double Cross, and it is from Dead Frog Brewery.
All right, so this brewery is originally from Aldergrove, but now in Langley, which is next door. It is a 5% alcohol beer. It's made with local malts and hops, a bright golden pale ale with crisp malt base, and a refreshing burst of citrus berry hops. It is very, very fucking lively. Wow. It smells a little bit berry, a little bit fruity on this glass that I have way too much head on. Smell the can. Yeah, it's definitely like berry, very fruity, kind of floral, maybe a hint of grain, mildly sweet.
It's a really bad pour. You're like 75% head on that pour.
Everyone likes some good head. Come on now. Yeah, it's kind of mildly berry. It's sweet. It's fruity. A bit floral. Not much bitterness to it. It's sweet. Not too bad. What do you think, Beck?
It's rather light. Yeah, I definitely get the berries. Yeah, I like it fine. I think it was a hot summer day. I'd like it more.
Mm-hmm. It was warm enough today, you know. Still can't do anything because the fucking world's on fire, but it was warm enough today.
Okay, so Brian Douglas Wells was born November 15th, 1956 in Warren, Pennsylvania to Rose and Harold Wells. In 1973, Brian dropped out of Erie East High School and went to work as a mechanic. By 1993, he was delivering pizzas for Mamma Mia's Pizzeria in Erie.
Mamma Mia!
Mamma Mia!
Here we go again. Mama!
Well done, well done.
Thank you.
On August 28th, 2003, the pizzeria received a delivery request from the payphone at a nearby gas station. The pizzas were to be delivered to a TV transmitting tower at 8631 Peach Street, which was only a few miles from the pizzeria. When Brian arrived at the TV tower, there were 4 people there waiting for him: Kenneth Barnes, Marjorie Dale Armstrong, William Rothstein, and Floyd Stockton. Delivering a pizza to an unmanned TV tower was just the beginning of a very bizarre series of events. Just as some background, Kenneth Barnes was born in 1954, and there was very little information on him. He was a retired television repairman, crack dealer, and Marjorie's fishing buddy.
Nice.
What a well-rounded individual.
Uh-huh.
Agreed.
Marjorie was born February 26, 1949, to Agnes and Harold Deal. In her younger years, she was an outstanding student, valedictorian at her high school. Starting in her teens, her mental health began to deteriorate, but she was still able to earn a degree in sociology and a master's degree in education from Gannon College. I couldn't find when she was diagnosed, but I kept reading that she had bipolar disorder, so I'm not sure when that diagnosis came. In 1984, she shot her boyfriend, Robert Thomas, 6 times while he lay sleeping on their couch. She claimed self-defense as he was abusive towards her. During the investigation, police found 400 pounds of butter, 700 pounds of cheese inside their house.
That sounds awesome. I love cheese and butter.
Well, most of it was rotting.
Oh.
So no. Psychiatrists deemed her mentally incompetent 7 times before a judge finally ruled that she was fit to be tried in the Thomas case. The case was delayed for years as prosecution tried to prove that she was mentally fit to stand trial. So those 7 times before the judge was like, okay, enough of this. That was years. She was eventually acquitted of the crime.
Wow.
She later had a boyfriend that took his own life and another that passed away due to a questionable overdose. So that's 3 now. She eventually married Richard Armstrong. Richard died from a fatal brain hemorrhage after collapsing during a stroke and hitting his head on a table. But this was also questionable because the head injury was never investigated by the coroner's office. So she either has really bad luck or, something else is up. So while planning the meeting at the TV tower, there was another party involved, and that was Marjorie's boyfriend at the time, and his name was James Roden. He decided that he didn't want any part of the plan, so on August 13, 2003, Marjorie shot him in the back with a shotgun. She then stuffed his body into a freezer with help from William Ansel Bill Rothstein, who was one of the people at the TV tower as well. And she gave him $2,000 for this.
Wow.
His body remained in the freezer for approximately a month until Bill called police on September 20th to report it. Bill was born January 17, 1944 to Matthias Rothstein and B. Virginia Briner. His father ran the bottling company, the Rolla Bottling Company, from 1945 to 1978. And Bill and Marjorie had actually dated previously in the late 60s and early 70s. But they parted, and in 1977, he was implicated in a murder. So apparently that's what they're both into. I don't know.
Who knows, yeah.
He'd given a handgun to a friend of his who used it to murder a romantic rival. Even though Bill tried to destroy the weapon, he was granted immunity in exchange for his testimony against his friend. So they both seem to be really good about, getting out of legal matters. Bill was a handyman and a part-time shop teacher. He spoke English, French, and Hebrew fluently. And in his free time, he was part of a group called the Fractured Intellectuals. It was a social group for intelligent people that are not well-adjusted, that are socially not well-adjusted. It's a clever name, though. Floyd Arthur J. Stockton Jr. was born January 17, 1947. At the time of all of this, he was crashing at Bill's house. He was on the run after being convicted of raping a disabled teenager. So, classy guy.
What an awful piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. There are 2 versions of events of what actually happened. The police believe that Brian knew the group was going to be there and was a willing participant, at least at first. Brian's family believes that he was a victim from beginning to end in these horrible events. And I'm just going to do my best to convey the information that I found, and you can decide where Brian sits on the spectrum of innocence to guilt. I'm just going to rewind a little bit because there's some important events that took place before the TV tower. So Marjorie was displeased with how her father was spending what she considered to be her inheritance. He was becoming more and more philanthropic, and she felt it was a big waste. The logical solution to her was to pay her friend Kenneth to kill her father.
Of course.
Because, like the old saying goes, you have to spend money to make money.
Jesus.
So Kenneth agreed, but it was going to cost Marjorie $200,000. So how was she going to get $200,000? By robbing a bank. Or, to be more exact, she was going to make Brian rob the bank
Of
for
course,
her.
yeah.
So Brian was introduced to this group of people through a sex worker named Jessica Hoopsick. Kenneth asked her if she knew anyone that they could convince to rob a bank, and she suggested Brian, who was one of her regulars, and described him as a total pushover. So she just thought that it would be very easy to convince him to be the one to rob the bank, even though he wouldn't have got to keep the money. Why would Brian agree to rob a bank? Money, obviously.
Yeah.
But they also offered him an alibi of sorts, just in case he got caught. So the plan was to put a bomb collar around his neck so that it would appear to everyone else that he was being forced to rob the bank.
Of course, yeah.
Initially, he agreed, believing that the bomb was fake, but the day before the meeting at the TV tower, Brian was seen leaving Bill's house. So that's part of why they think that he was involved, even though his family says, no, he didn't know anything about it, he was just delivering a pizza. But he was seen leaving Bill's house where they had been planning everything. So it's like weird, but he also delivered pizzas in the area all the time. So who the hell knows, right? Brian.
I think it's just easy to jump to conclusions at that point, right? Like,
yeah. So there'll be pictures of the collar bomb on the website. It was a hinged collar that looked like a large handcuff, and it had 4 keyholes just under the chin, and a rectangular section that contained 2 pipe bombs and 2 kitchen timers. There was also an electronic timer that covered the chest. It had a lot of pieces that were completely pointless, including stickers with false warnings, unconnected wires, and even a toy cell phone.
Weird.
Yeah. For those who've seen or watched the movie Saw, I think it's in the second or third Saw movie. Something very similar to what he had. Sorry, I've seen the video. Something very similar to what one of the actresses had around her neck, except he didn't have the cage over his head as well. It was just like the collar around.
Weird.
It looks like a massive bear trap almost.
It's been so long since I've seen one of the original Saw movies, I don't remember.
But like, if you think like what a bear trap is used, right? Like it's clamped like this.
Yeah.
And then it closes, so what it looked like around his neck is kind of like that, but like more like fit like a collar, I guess. I don't know. It looked terrifying, right? Like it looked to me more convincing than anything that like this is a legit bomb.
Yeah, so Floyd later admitted to being the one to affix the collar around Brian's neck. Brian was then given a homemade gun that resembled a walking cane, and there's pictures of that as well that you can go look at. He was also advised that if anyone asked, he should say that he was being forced into the crime by 3 black men.
Of course, yeah.
Like, of course, right? As if this wasn't bizarre enough, the group then gave him a scavenger hunt to complete. It was 9 pages of handwritten instructions, a series of strictly timed tasks of collecting keys that would delay detonation and eventually defuse the bomb. It also indicated that he would be watched constantly, and any attempt to call the police would result in detonation of the bomb. At the very bottom, in all caps, someone had written, quote, "Act now, think later, or you will die." So step 1, the bank. At around 2:30 p.m., Brian entered the PNC Bank at Summit Town Center and waited in line. Okay, I guess that's what you do when you're robbing a bank. Wait
Of
patiently
course, yeah.
in line.
Wait patiently, be very Canadian.
So when it was his turn, he walked up to the teller, and while sucking on a lollipop that he grabbed from a dish on the counter, he passed the teller a note demanding $250,000. The note stated that the bomb would explode in 15 minutes and that he had to have the full amount in that time. The teller couldn't possibly access the vault that quickly, so she begged what she could, and he left. It was a meager $8,702. So not quite the $250,000.
Not even close.
No, not close at all, yeah.
At 2:38, a witness called 911 to report the robbery by a man with, quote, "a bomb or something wrapped around his neck." You can see a video of the bank robbery online. Brian doesn't seem too anxious about the bomb. It's really weird. You think he'd be like agitated or whatever, but I don't know.
It's
really weird.
It's so bizarre. It kind of leads me to think that, like you said earlier, like he didn't think it was actually real.
Yeah, no,
But perhaps maybe when he heard the ticking, he's like, oh my God, these guys may have actually put a real bomb on me.
Yeah, no, it definitely felt like he didn't think it was a real bomb. Like, there's no way he thought it was real, the way he reacted.
No.
So, with the first step of the scavenger hunt complete, Brian moved on to the next step. Only 15 minutes after leaving the bank, police saw Brian standing outside of his vehicle and arrested him. He was handcuffed and sat on the ground in the parking lot. As planned, Brian told them that 3 black men placed a bomb around his neck, gave him the shotgun, and told him that they'd kill him if he didn't commit the robbery and the scavenger hunt. Total load of shit. The police officers cleared the area of pedestrians and made sure that Brian could not detonate the bomb himself. The bomb squad was called about a half an hour after the bank had called 911 to report the robbery. So it was about 10 or 15 minutes after he was arrested, the bomb squad was called. Unfortunately, the bomb squad got stuck in traffic caused by the ongoing police incident.
Well, of course.
Less than 5 minutes before the bomb squad arrived, the bomb started beeping and soon exploded. It left a fist-sized hole in Brian's chest, and he died within minutes. This was filmed live by the news station WJET TV, who had arrived faster than the bomb squad. They had technical difficulties at the time of detonation, so that part was not aired on TV. I watched the documentary Evil Genius on Netflix, and it does show the actual clip. It was horrible.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually think they were going to show it, and then they did, and it was something else.
Yeah, I know. I've never actually seen it, but I've heard the video, and just that's enough to be awful.
Yeah, no, I watched it as well, and the scene that Beck's talking about happened, and I was just like, what the fuck just happened? And I rewinded it, and I was like, oh wow, no, his head, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely uncalled for, but I'm sure you're going to talk about the next part about what they did with his head.
Yes. Yeah. So the documentary is really, really good, but if you're squeamish, maybe just skip that part.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
So the scavenger hunt note found by police after the explosion claimed that Brian could gain extra time by solving each clue. But when police tried to solve all the clues, they found that it was not possible to actually complete them within the allotted amount of time. So that means that whether he'd been arrested or not, he wasn't getting out of the collar alive.
No.
The collar
they definitely
itself
tricked him into it.
Oh, yeah. The collar itself was still intact after the explosion, so police made the gruesome decision to decapitate Brian so that they could remove the collar.
Wow.
And
That's insane.
Yeah, I can't remember now from the documentary, Becker, if you had said it, but the police decided to decapitate him at the scene.
Yeah.
But the bomb squad wasn't there yet, right? Like, because they could have told them that, like, it's dead, right? Like, that the bomb itself is dead and that nothing else was going to detonate. Because they could have very well just taken it with them.
Right.
But they decided...
When I was doing my research, it didn't specifically say that either way, and I don't remember from the documentary, so I'm not sure. You could be right. You could be right.
Well, I don't know. I remember it's a really fucked up decision to make. And why did they have to cut his head off in the middle of, like, the road where he was sitting, right? They could have very well taken it with the corner of the body, moved the body, and done it privately versus pitching a tent, right? But anyways.
Yeah, totally.
Who knows?
On September 21st, 2004, Bill called the police about the body that had been in his freezer for now a month. He realized that he couldn't go through with cutting up the body as Marjorie had requested, and that he was too afraid to tell her, as, you know, her history of, you know, mysterious things happening to her boyfriends. Marjorie was arrested the following day. In January of 2005, Marjorie pleaded guilty but mentally ill to the murder of her then-boyfriend, James. That was the frozen fellow. She received a 7 to 20-year sentence. By April, she'd had enough and was ready to make a deal. She informed a state trooper that she had information about the still unsolved Brian Wells case. After a meeting with FBI agents in charge of the case, she said that she would tell them everything in exchange for being transferred to the minimum security prison, Muncie Correctional Institution. Through a series of interviews, she admitted to providing the kitchen timers that were used in the Bond's construction, but insisted that Bill was the mastermind behind the whole plot and that Brian was directly involved in the planning. In late 2005, Kenneth was in jail on unrelated drug charges. While he was enjoying his stay, his brother-in-law turned him into police as a participant in the Brian Wells case. In July the following year, it was announced that Marjorie and Kenneth had been charged with the Brian Wells crimes. Marjorie is the mastermind and Kenneth is a willing accomplice. Bill could not be charged as he had passed away from lymphoma in July of 2004.
Wow.
Floyd Stockton was given immunity from prosecution so he could testify against Marjorie, which I hate because he's that guy that harmed the disabled woman.
Yeah, it's gross, yeah.
On September 3rd, 2008, Kenneth pleaded guilty to conspiring to rob a bank and to aiding and abetting. On December 3rd, he was sentenced to 45 years in prison. Again, there was a delay in Marjorie's trial as they were trying to determine if she was competent or not. So initially she was sentenced to a stay in a mental hospital, but hearing was scheduled for March 11, 2010 to determine whether she was competent. It's the same as when she was on trial before, right? She just kept trying to delay her eventual incarceration, and it took forever. On September 9th, Marjorie was determined to be competent to stand trial. She tried to get a change of venue because of the extensive media coverage, but this was denied as the media coverage wasn't just local, and also it was factual and objective as it could be. To everyone's surprise and her lawyer's chagrin, she took the stand in her own defense.
Oh, fun. That always goes well.
Yeah. So she then used the stand as a stage to rant and rave, going as far as to call her own lawyer stupid as part of her testimony.
Nice.
So just class act all around. On November 1st, 2010, Marjorie was convicted of armed bank robbery, conspiracy to commit armed bank robbery, and using a destructive device in a crime. On February 28th, 2011, she was sentenced to life in prison. Finally.
I love that the fucking bomb that basically had a guy brought the police to the conclusion that a guy's head has to be cut off was like just called a destructive device. Like there's so many other things I can think of as a destructive device versus something that it's actually life-ending and life-altering. Like, come on. Mm-hmm. Don't like it at all.
In November 2012, the Court of Appeals affirmed her conviction, and in January 2013, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear her case. She lost a second appeal in December 2015, but it wouldn't really matter in the long run because she died from breast cancer in prison April 4, 2017. It's a fucking weird case. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
And you're left with so many questions. There's at least one man who doesn't agree with where the evidence led the investigators. Retired FBI investigator Jim Fisher doesn't believe that Marjorie was the mastermind. He doesn't even believe that money was the motive for the crime. Points to the fact that whoever planned it didn't seem to care whether they got the money or not, because if they did care about it, the money, why make the scavenger hunt so complex? A meeting to drop off the money was not part of the scavenger hunt at all. It was all just an elaborate plot to control many other people as a show of intelligence and present a puzzle that would take investigators years to solve. Jim believes that Bill was the mastermind and that he got away with it. It seems odd that he would hold a dead body in his freezer for 5 weeks and only after the robbery did he call police. But that way he controlled the narrative to the police, right? Because he was the first one.
Yeah.
And Bill lived right next door to the TV tower, which is either a weird circumstance or a very convenient location for the mastermind.
Yep, it is.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to get an answer of what actually happened, because I feel like, obviously, with her passing away from cancer and the other guy's head getting blown off, like, it's just the story.
Yeah. And Bill has passed away.
Yeah,
But even besides that, they're all liars. So who are you supposed to believe anyway?
Nobody.
So yeah, decide for yourself, but you're not going to know exactly what happened.
No.
Makes for a very different story. Alrighty then, well, we'll get ready for the next story then. This episode has been sponsored by Best Fiends. Do you have a little more time on your hands these days? I have just the game to fill some of that time. That game is Best Fiends, a really fun mobile puzzle game. Slugs have become a problem, and your bug friends are working with you to kick the issue. So help clean up the digital garden by matching colored tiles to meet your level goals. If you match enough of a color, your bug friends will send bombs and the likes to help speed things up. Sometimes there are other things to interact with, such as light bulbs that change colors, or even barriers that stop your attacks. Every level is a new adventure. I am currently at level 537, and I have been moving ahead at quite a pace lately. As you move along in the game, you will also get more and more special missions. Much like beating any level, the special missions help you collect resources to upgrade your bugs. If you connect your game with Facebook, you can even send gifts to your friends and get gifts back. Now, this isn't a hardcore game like so many other gamers play, but just a casual puzzle game. You can come and go as you please and enjoy the bugs, slugs, and cool look of the game. I used to play other games on my phone, but this is now the only one that I load up. Engage your brain with fun puzzles and collect tons of cute characters. Trust me, with over 100 million downloads, this 5-star rated mobile puzzle game is a must-play. Download Best Fiends free on Apple App Store or Google Play. That's friends, without the R. Best Fiends.
Okay, guys.
Yo.
I have a fucking wild one for you.
Woohoo!
So buckle up your crazy hats and listen to this.
What is it? From one of my favorite shows, Booze and Brews? Buckle up, fuckos.
Okay, so in full disclosure, I think my particular story could have also ended up on our Dumbest Criminals episode.
Sweet.
This lady is just out to fucking lunch. Originally, I had a really hard time picking a case for our Double Cross episode, but then I remembered about this really stupid woman. Her name is Dalia. That's Dalia. And her last name is Dippolito. That's Dippolito.
Okay.
So that's her main name. To quickly summarize my episode before I tell you guys about my beer pairing. Woman hires hitman. Hitman turns out to be undercover police officer. And woman turns out to be a moron. So for my pairing, I'm sure you guys heard from our last episode that we're recording today through the Zoom app.
The interwebs?
Yeah, the interweb through Zoom. Obviously, because of COVID, we want to do our part and ensure that we're social distancing. So what the guys were gracious enough to suggest is that I only purchase a pairing if I'm going to actually drink the beer. So I actually have a pairing for this episode. The beer itself, it's a pink can. And on the can, it says Raffaella. There's a lady on it and a gentleman. And there's like a bow, a knife, and an eye. I don't know. But what grabbed me to it is the fact that A, it was a lager. B, it actually says audio and visual on it.
That's a collective arts beer. Nice.
Thank you. So I'll get into talking about why the audio-visual part really stands out to me, but let me crack open the beer. I'm too lazy to go back to the kitchen to get a cup, so I can't tell you what color it looks like or what color the head is. Ooh, but it's pretty good. It's kind of like a more crafty lager, and I like it. Not sure how else to describe it. It's only 4.9% alcohol. Discover new music with audiovisual, a collaborative series featuring one recording label, 4 bands, and an artist. The music is Raffaella. The art is by Mikey Lavi, and the label is Mom Plus Pop.
Oh.
And that's what it says.
All right. For audiovisual lager, Collective Arts has worked with 250 plus bands globally in the last 6 years. Building on musical momentum, we're excited to announce a beer to our core lineup. One that embodies our love for music and our passion to push the boundaries of emerging talent. Discover new music with audiovisual. This collaborative series celebrates the intersections of art, music, and beer, featuring a record label, 4 bands, and our visual artist. Every 3 months, the bands, the record label, and the artist will switch, making room for continued discovery of emerging music for all genres. Audiovisual lager is super refreshing, making it the ideal beer for concerts, green rooms, backyards, and wherever you tune in. Audiovisual is brewed with Pilsner malt and brown rice and cold aged for 4 weeks for the most refreshingly clean and crisp finish possible. We use Whitacre hops for the fresh notes of lime, mandarin, citrus, rounding out this traditional style into benchmark lager. What do you think, Nina?
I actually really like it. I think it's a little more, I don't know if the proper term to use is crafty, but it's definitely a little bit fancier than the usual lagers I'm used to. But it's delicious, definitely from what Mike had said about it being crispy and a nice finish. It tastes good. I like it. I definitely buy this one again.
Nice. They make really good beer, so that's good to hear.
Yeah, and it definitely doesn't happen often where I would actually repurchase something that I bought, but it's good. And you know what? It's not that bad on the price either. The can I have is just under 500 milliliters, and it was only $4.50. So
That's
definitely
reasonable.
I definitely think it's reasonable pricing.
Yep.
So I'm going to get talking about Dalia. Honestly, originally I was, as I said before, struggling to kind of find a double cross episode. And then when I remembered about this one, I was like, oh, and the words and word vomit just flowed right out of me. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to talk about Dalia, who ended up hiring a hitman to take out her husband. And it's a little bit different than the stories that I'm used to because, and I guess, what is it called? Spoiler alert. No one actually dies.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. So a little bit of background on Dalia. Her maiden last name is Mohammed. She was born in 1982 in Palm City in Boynton Beach. I checked kind of her parents, everything. I found that they're just normal working class people. And I couldn't actually find any high school or college information about her. The only profession that I was able to find that she was accredited for is being a former escort.
Ooh.
Yeah. So off to a great start for Dalia.
Yeah.
Definitely through all the reports and things that I was looking at, a lot of the descriptions about her versus, hardworking, giving back to the community. Most stuff I found was that she was really pretty. Nothing else that she really did to contribute. Going through the story, I do think she's either really, really stupid or she's an actual psychopath.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Can't it be both?
It might be a combination of column A and column B, but genuinely speaking, some of the decisions she made and excuses she gave to me sound like that she's stupid or she's actually a sociopath that she doesn't understand that what she's saying is nonsense. So anyways, I don't want to hold out anymore. Let's get into it. First of all, it's important to kind of talk about how she met her husband, who she ended up trying to have killed. Dalia met her husband, Michael, well, I guess ex-husband now, but they met online. He basically invited her over to his office. He, and I quote by some of his coworkers, saw her and liked what he saw, so he decided that this was going to be his new wife. And I emphasize the new wife because he was actually currently married. So he ended up divorcing that wife and essentially marrying this crazy bitch. Off to a great start.
Mm-hmm. Classic guy.
Yeah. There was lots of reports that in the about 6 months that they were together, she spent a lot of his money, and she essentially decided that she not only wanted all of his money, she literally wanted all of his money, including his life insurance. So what Dalia did is she actually reached out to one of her ex-boyfriends and asked him if he knew where she could find a hitman. She confided in him that, she wanted more. She was out of this relationship, and if he can help her. I know that her ex-boyfriend had some kind of a little bit of a run-ins with the law here and there, but I couldn't find anything that suggests of why she thought he'd be the best person to go to. to find a hitman. Nonetheless, she picked to go speak to him. Generally, when people are facing this kind of situation, and I find when I've been doing this research that people don't make smart decisions. Well, Dalia's ex-boyfriend, and I quote, realized he was dealing with an unstable woman. He went to the police. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, her ex-boyfriend actually ended up going to the police because he didn't think this was a good situation. And I think he thought that she was being pretty damn serious. So with him going to the police, like anything else, the police seem to get more information and actually confirmation that this is something that she wants. Essentially, they don't want like ex-boyfriend versus new ex-girlfriend going against husband to get into that kind of stuff.
He said, she said, whatever.
Absolutely. So they ended up, and this is where my beer comes in handy, getting audio and visual set up in her ex-boyfriend's car. The deal was here to have her come to his vehicle, discuss the plan again, and he was going to tell her, like, hey, if you're actually serious, I did find a guy for you. So this happened. I'll share the link on the site, but you can actually see the audio and hear the visual. Just kidding. You can hear the audio and see the visual. Whatever, I'm drinking. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And essentially, he meets up with her. He asks if you're still serious. And she says, yeah, she's definitely serious. She definitely wants to get a hitman. And kind of let's do it. She actually, and this is sometimes a really integral part in this, if you're looking at the law, you can talk, right? So in America, there's something that we're all, I'm sure, very familiar with, but there's the freedom of speech. You can talk as much as you want about wanting to kill someone and get back at someone, but to actually get a charge of trying to hire a hitman or whatever, there has to also be an exchange of money. So
that's what the Tiger King taught me.
I'm going to get into the Tiger King.
I haven't watched that yet.
You're so funny. Yeah, no, I'm going to get into the Tiger King because that ties into this perfectly.
Cool.
So she actually hands
that bitch Carol Baskins.
Something really important to consider in a case when they're trying to prosecute something like this is in America, there's such a thing as free speech. So you can very well talk about wanting to take this person out, take that person out, and you don't want this person alive. However, to actually prosecute for the solicitation of murder, there has to be an exchange of money or some kind of service or something.
Yeah.
Where Dalia made a crucial mistake, I don't know if it was a mistake, when meeting her ex-boyfriend to talk about this hitman he kind of found, she actually brought $1,200 with her and gave him $100. So he said, thank you for this. Obviously, this guy will want more of the cash up front. And the next meeting is, we'll kind of take it from there. Because he's going to go back to the hitman and whatever. She exits the car. On the tape, you can actually see the police phoning her ex-boyfriend while he's still in the car after she had just gotten out. And the police go, what happened? He's like, yeah, we talked about it. She's still into doing it. And the police say something along the lines of, like, did you guys discuss money? And he goes, yeah, no, she gave me cash. And the police was a little stunned at that moment because it's just like, what?
Yeah, like this was easy.
Totally easy. But something that I admire is, obviously our first impression is just like, oh my God, you fucking stupid bitch. Obviously from here we thought the police must have enough evidence to go and take Dalia to court, but they definitely wanted to sweeten the deal. So from here they had this hitman, which was actually, they ended up getting an undercover police officer to act as a hitman.
Mm-hmm.
He met with Dalia. Once again, same setup. In a car, there's visual and audio of her talking to the hitman, talking about the scene. From the video,
she's not even trying.
No, she's ruthless.
Yeah.
It's either so stupid that she doesn't question what's going on, or she just literally is a sociopath. I don't understand.
Yeah.
So she's talking to the undercover police officer who she thinks is his hitman. And this is kind of a little bit interesting part. So she wants to have the murder happen publicly. My thinking here is that if it's public and she's not there, obviously she can't be found guilty for it. It's public,
right.
It's happened, and it's kind of like a brazen attack.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the hitman suggests that, if we're going to do it public, you're going to have to put up more money for it. Why don't I just do kind of a home invasion type of deal? Give me access or give me a key to your apartment. I'll go in there. I'll make it look like I broke in. I'll give him 2 to the head, steal a couple things, walk out. And what's interesting, I think this is the only moment in any of the visual audio that you see where she's actually fucking thinking. She agrees to that. So some of the things that I saw were that she probably felt really comfortable with having her husband executed, but not with having a stranger in her house and stealing a couple of things. The day that they had in question was from when that happened in the weekend would be that upcoming Wednesday. So she gets up on the Wednesday, her husband's still in bed, and where her alibi is going to be is that she's at the gym. You know how I just mentioned that she's not maybe necessarily so comfortable with having this stranger in her house? This fucking bitch packed up estimated $80,000 worth of her jewelry that she brought to her with the gym.
Nice.
Which
That's not weird.
It's not weird. But if you think, okay, she knows that the stranger is going to go into her house to execute her husband, and that he's going to just take a couple things, make it seem like a staged robbery, but make sure that's not her jewelry that's stolen.
Yeah. Priorities.
Mm-hmm.
Insane. To back up here, she leaves for the gym. The police straight up knock on the door and say, wake up her husband, Michael. And so explain the situation to him. And he seems, from what the reports have said, genuinely just shocked. Like, what? Anyways, he gets taken out of the premise, gets brought to the police station, and he's there. So something that I found really particularly amazing about the police is that they decided that they need to make the scene look legit. Because what more evidence could they get than having her show up at the scene and being all dramatic and shit? So, with no joking aside, they actually called the producers of the show cops.
What?
What? That's awesome.
That's funny.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, we've all seen Forensic Files, cops, whatever. The scene is set, caution tape, ambulance, like the whole thing. Police officer calls are like, hi, whatever. There's been an incident at your house. You need to come home. Something's happened with your husband, whatever. Oh my God, is he okay? The whole 9 yards. The police definitely set the fucking scene. Cops is there. So they have there's so much video on this. It's ridiculous. But video of everywhere around of her coming from the gym with her car, being told what happened, falling to the ground, crying, fucking, yeah.
Falling to the ground?
Oh, she fell down, crying.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh yeah. Perfect scene. I mean, if you watch that happen without knowing the background story, you're just like, oh my God, she's a widow.
She's so wrecked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy Moses, right? So naturally, they don't actually let her into the house because it's an active crime scene, whatever. They take her back to the police station, normal questioning, which makes sense. Of course. In the interrogation rooms, I guess, or questioning rooms, not sure what they're called, they're also recorded. So once again, there's more audio and visual. Police asking her, do you know anyone who had something against your husband? And those kind of leading questions. And obviously, no, she's nothing to share. The police actually end up bringing in the hitman. Do you know this man? Do you know this woman? And they're obviously both playing stupid. Obviously, the cop's in on it. Yeah, no, right. She has no idea, nothing. And so they have the hitman, of course, the undercover police officer, exit. And at this point, you can kind of see that the interrogating officer that's talking to her is just really over her shit. So he ends up basically saying, we know you hired this undercover police officer who's just in the room to kill your husband. We have it all on tape, everything. They bring up her ex-boyfriend, all of it. And I quote, I didn't do it. I don't know anything. Nope. Didn't do it. I don't know. That was all she could say. Come on. Obviously, this goes to trial. Obviously, you can all see what the outcome is. Obviously, she's going to get charged for it all. So the two kind of stories she gave originally was, I don't know. She doesn't know anything about it. It can't be her.
I don't know anything.
Nothing. Completely like ignorance.
I
is
don't
bliss.
know. I'm just a girl.
I don't know. Like that?
Nothing. And then she ended up changing up her story and saying, well, actually, that her ex-boyfriend and her current husband, who she tried to have assassinated since they were murdered, were actually all in on the plot, and that they were trying to get famous and have a reality TV show come out of this.
Oh my god.
Of course.
Yeah, no, that didn't work, obviously. So, a couple interesting things. Obviously, her husband that she tried to have murdered didn't fucking die. The guy actually ended up testifying in court against her and talking just about his experience and ordeal of dealing with all of this. Originally, she was given a 20-year sentence for the solicitation of murder. This was changed to 16 years. Right now, she's serving her sentence in jail. I believe the last report I saw was in 2017 that she went up against a judge with just like trying to have the sentence change, and they didn't even let it go to court. Like, they didn't even want to dispute it. So, yeah, it's my smart gal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's her ex-husband, obviously now, is happily remarried.
A third.
A third wife. Hopefully this one works out and doesn't try to kill him.
It happens sometimes.
Yeah, when we talk about double crossing, so her ex kind of double crossed her by going to the police. The police doubled up on that and fucked her over. And then her husband just comes out at the end being like, "You're a stupid bitch."
Never happens.
Not at all, but yeah, I definitely enjoyed writing this story, and it kind of just like flowed out of me like word vomit, because I was just like, how fucking dumb and dense can one person get? And then I was introduced to Dalia.
Yeah, we do this show so you can tell how dumb people get, right?
I think there's often that scenario of he said, she said, or it's tricky when you have an ex-boyfriend, an ex-lover and new lover and whatever tangled mess.
Yeah.
Not a factor here at fucking all. There's so much audio and visual. And her just, I think one of the quotes she said that she's 500% sure she wants to go through with it. She said that to the ex,
Ooh.
the police officer. I don't know. And her taking $80,000 worth of estimated, I should say, worth of jewelry with her to the gym while she knows that this hitman is going into her apartment. Like, come on.
So sketchy.
Sure
Like,
is.
what a tell.
But explain it. How
Yeah,
the fuck do you
exactly.
explain it? You don't. I understand that there are some weird women who go to the gym with wearing some makeup and some jewelry and shit, right? But like, that's a lot of jewelry. In fact, a whole bag of jewelry to go to the gym. Like, come on. But,
I take all my jewelry when I go to the gym, but that's my wedding ring. That's all I have. So
Yeah, that's definitely my jewelry too.
I was going to say, hold on, I don't go to the gym, so I don't take shit anywhere. But
oh, you take shit places.
But you know what I mean, right?
yeah.
How do you explain yourself out of all of that? And then I think the police played this beautifully, right? Like, they could have had enough with just the admission to the ex-boyfriend with the exchange of money. They had enough with just the hitman. Then they staged the fucking scene and brought the TV show Cops on. This is incredible. And I think we talked about this before, and I feel it's an injustice to our culture not to mention this. But one of the big debates about Tiger King is if Joe had hired the hitman, he gave him, I think it was $3,000, which he ended up spending on blow and
Sex workers.
Where it's just like, hold on, there was an exchange of money, because that changes things from the Fifth Amendment of speaking your mind and all of that to an actual exchange for money for a service, which ups the ante.
It definitely makes it more exotic.
It definitely takes it to a new level, but there was I feel some debate where the Joe actually give him money or not, because it's just one person's word against another.
Yeah.
Where in this case, you have Dalia on tape handing over that first lot of cash.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah,
different.
it's definitely, it's not circumstantial. That's for damn sure.
Absolutely not. So, yeah, no, that was, anyways, yeah, that's the story. That's the story.
That's the story.
I will share for today.
The Jersey Shorey?
Ew.
Never watched it. I don't know. Haven't watched Joe Exotic Show either. So the title for my story is Mark Whitacre Worked a Few Angles. Companies always like to make more money on their products. Our whole system is built on profits above all else, right?
Yes, I mean, that's what keeps the wheels turning.
Unfortunately, sometimes an entire industry is willing to work together to try and make this happen for the better of all the corporations, not the people. But unfortunately, this is called price fixing, and this is just what happened in the mid-1990s in the lysine industry. Lysine is an additive that is blended into animal feed, and 5 companies decided to work together to drive the price of lysine up around the world. I almost feel like lysine is what they were talking about in Jurassic Park 2. So
I didn't see it.
I think that was the additive that was like what the dinosaurs needed to survive. I could be wrong.
Hold on, you haven't watched Jurassic Park?
We just had this conversation, right, Mike, on Facebook?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've seen the first one.
Okay.
Once. That's it. And I've seen the Weird Al music video 5 billion times.
Everything about a Jurassic Park and Jurassic World and all those are so good. Come on. These companies were all involved with the high-tech fermentation technologies used on a commercial scale to produce this stuff, after all. The companies included USA's Archer Daniels Midland, ADM, Japanese companies Ajinomoto and Koyo Hako Hogoyo, and 2 Korean companies, Soin America Inc. and Chuil Jedang Limited. Sorry, but there's a lot of Asian names there, and I'm not good at them. At the time, Mark Whitacre was the president of the bioproducts division at ADM, as well as the corporate vice president. He had a history of high-profile jobs at other large corporations, and he was a PhD grad from Cornell University in early 1983. Smart guy. In 1992, Mark would realize that the lysine price fixing scheme was going on, and he would tell his wife about it. She was integral in pushing him to inform the FBI about the whole scheme and what ADM executives were involved. Over the next 3 years, Mark would work in lockstep with the FBI, where he would collect information on the scheme and even wear wires into the office.
Wow.
Yeah. Some of these wiretaps would take place all over the world at meetings of the 5 companies in places like Tokyo, Paris, Mexico City, and Hong Kong.
I'm surprised none of the places had higher security.
They're probably not expecting this kind of shit, right? It's just a business meetings, right?
I guess. But...
And if you've never dealt with someone fucking you over federally, you're not expecting it. He would be able to get information not only on his company's involvement, but all of the others also. This work with the FBI would lead to massive monetary loss for the company. In 1995, Mark would have his position with the firm terminated as they found out that he was a whistleblower. But ADM would be forced to pay $100 million for the federal charges, as well as $400 million on a class action lawsuit tied with high fructose corn syrup. So I'm not sure exactly what that was, but all tied together, that's a lot of fucking money. That's $500 million in 2 lawsuits. Damn. So I don't know enough about lysine to know how this is tied in, but the high fructose corn syrup is. Later, ADM would also be fined $50 million by Canada, Mexico, and the European Union on antitrust breaches. It's a lot of fucking money. One executive, Michael D. Andres, would be sentenced to 99 months in a federal prison.
That's a weird sentence,
yeah.
Isn't it?
For people like me that prefer that in months and stuff, this is 8 years and 3 months. It's a long sentence. A few more executives from ADM would go to prison also. Mark would end up with a whistleblower immunity from prosecution for the work with the FBI. But of course, This is about double crossing, isn't it? So where is this double cross, you'd say? Mark Whitacre had begun to move ADM money to his personal bank accounts. He would make fake invoices for different expenses and have them paid out to him. He would also make up fake bills for dummy corporations like contractors and supply vendors, where he would approve those bills to be paid out. You know, just like siphoning money to him. This money would be funneled into bank accounts in the United States, Switzerland, and the Cayman Islands. Of course, once his work with the FBI began, he stepped up his game and started to funnel more and more money into fake bank accounts. He did have to sign an agreement with the FBI that he would break no laws without their approval first. Whoops. Well,
That's a weird thing to sign, isn't it?
Not really, because if you sign that kind of agreement, and it happens all the time, and even FBI agents have to sign these agreements, that you can't break a law, but FBI agents, if they know it's probably going to happen, that at some point they're going to have to break a law, they have to sign an agreement to do that first before they do it. So if they think they're going to be forced to do something in a drug bust or something, they will sign something first so they don't get in trouble for it first.
I just mean it sounds funny.
It definitely sounds
I
funny.
signed an agreement with the FBI that I would only break the law if they said it was cool.
Yeah, first. The reason that ADM would fire Mark in 1995 was because he was suspected of money laundering and embezzlement to the tune of $9 million. So that's a reason to fuck over your company. Mark would plead guilty to charges of tax evasion and fraud, and he would be sentenced to prison time on March 4th, 1998. His sentence was set at 10.5 years, a length that some FBI and Department of Justice thought was too long. But when you have a whistleblower immunity and you fuck up so bad that you end up in prison, you deserve it, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's supposed to be doing the right thing by being a whistleblower.
Yeah.
And then he shits on the good guy status by stealing money.
Well, but he's been stealing money for so long that he probably just thought, I'm in the clear. I'm just going to keep fucking doing it.
I'm sure he also has like a complex of like, I won't get caught, like I'm above the law kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's been stealing money so long that he thinks he's in the clear, right?
Ridiculous.
Yeah. In December 2006, he would ultimately be let out of prison early at only 8.5 years. I find it amazing that after these charges, he is now again an executive for a large firm in the U.S. Like, no one fucking learned.
He must be white.
Oh, of course he's white. Come on now. Of course he's white.
He's a white male, so it doesn't matter that he broke the law before.
He is now the COO and president of operations of Cypress Systems out of California. I sure hope they are looking at their books closely.
Yeah.
I mean, when a guy will completely fuck over his previous corporation with the FBI while stealing money, you better worry about that person.
That's ridiculous. Oh my God.
Like, you can't trust the guy. You can't. I mean, what kind of person trusts that?
I don't know. I just don't know.
I don't either. All right. Well, thanks for tuning into our episode. If you enjoyed the episode, you can go to patreon.com/brewcrime. You can support us there and help improve the show. Shout out to our Patreon supporters. 3 Beers In Podcast. Amber, Ange, Daniela, Nina's Mom, Faves of Our Lives Podcast, True Crime Nana. You want to email us and recommend a case or a theme, you can go to brewcrime@pacificbeerchat.com. Find us on all social media at Brew Crime. And thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Peace. Brew Crime's intro was created by Mike using Creative Commons Attribution licensed audio from purple-planet.com, soundbible.com, and freesoundeffects.com. Logo design was by Ben Greenberg. All cases and stories were written by Beck, Nina, and Mike, and our sources are put into the show notes for each episode. We always want to give credit to the people that research the cases we talk about. Check out our store at brewcrime.threadless.com, where you can purchase swag like t-shirts, phone cases, beach towels, and all kinds of cool stuff. We can also be found on your favorite podcast apps, our hosts, Spreaker.com, or brewcrime.com, as well as at Brewcrime on Twitter, at Brewcrime on Facebook, at facebook.com/groups/Brew Crime. Thanks for listening. This has been a production of Pacific Beer Chat.
Hey, true crime fanatics. I'm Hallie.
And I'm Brittany.
And if you're looking for a new true crime podcast to feed your cravings, check out The Abyss Pod.
We scour the web to find the most intriguing cases to share with you every other Monday. You can listen on Spotify, Stitcher, Google and Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and any other streaming app.
Follow us at The Abyss Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or check out our website at theabysspod.com.
Dive into the true crime abyss with us.
And welcome everybody to what...
Wait, Brian, what are you doing?
Oh yeah, that's right. We're supposed to be recording a promo here, aren't we?
Aren't you supposed to tell people where they can find us?
Yeah, we're What the Hops podcast based out of Buffalo, New York. We like to talk a lot about beer.
A little bit about music.
And all sorts of random things.
So be sure to go find us wherever you get your podcasts and hit up all your social medias and search What the Hops and hit that like button.
Cheers.
Excuse me. It's a lively beer.
Yes.
Delivering to... Nope.
Delivering to no.
Nope. Damn it. One
What?
sec.
Okay. What happened?
Battery.
Ah, yes.
That's fine, though. I can plug it in and keep everything else plugged in. I'm ready for just such a case. Yeah. My phone's going to keep falling. Fucker. No, sorry. One sec.
No worries.
This paragraph's not in the right spot. Fuck.
No!
No, whatever. I'm just going to go with it.
Okay, so originally I had a really hard time picking an episode or a...
Sorry, can you guys hear all that honking?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what the fuck is going on outside. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Are we good?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm sorry.
No, I can't hear it, actually.
Okay.
Well, I can hear it, definitely.
Ah.
Oh, we lost you there, Nina, for a second. Nina, are you there?
Dalia makes a mistake and
Wait.
actually brings $1,200.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You're back at all. Are we back
Nina,
now?
your audio
Yeah, there we
is
are.
all
Hey,
kinds of
Nina.
fucked up there.
Oh, okay. Where did you guys, what's the last part you heard?
Back?
It was just after I had said about the Tiger King, and you said we'll get to that. And then we lost ya. About the Tiger King.
Okay, so let's just restart from there, I guess.
Yeah.
Mike, are you sleeping?
Nope.
I just see your head like...
No, I'm
Okay.
too comfortable.
Stand up for a couple seconds, because you look like you're going to pass out.
All right. There you go.
Good. The police end up just... Hold on. 1 second. Hi. I just stopped recording because of the doors open.
Hola.
Adam's the best, and he went for a walk and came back with a Slurpee.
What?
Slurpee!
I haven't had one of those in years.
You want to come say hi?
Who the fuck is still selling Slurpees? Holy shit.
7-Eleven.
7-Eleven, every gas station?
No, every
Yeah.
gas station isn't, because every gas station I've been to, they've been shut off.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean under these circumstances.
Yeah, under COVID, like everything's been shut down. That's amazing.
Hi. Oh.
Tiger
What?
King. No.
What?
It's horrible. You have to watch it. Right, Nina?
I don't even want to talk to you anymore. I think this episode is enough. Bye, Mike.
The problem is that Amber won't watch those shows, so once she goes to bed, it's like, do I work on this show? Or do I watch something that she won't watch? I don't know.
What is it that she doesn't like about the shows?
She doesn't like any true crime shows, really.
It's not, though. It's just
Not
like,
true crime.
it's a comedy more than it's true crime.
We haven't
Honestly.
watched a Shakespearean tragedy yet, so I don't know.
Mike, you gotta fucking watch this. Like, if you're gonna do any... We could do a whole episode on fucking the characters in this. Just fucking watch it.
I don't want to fuck the characters in this show. We probably should watch
You
it.
just sit there dumbfounded the whole time. Like, it can't get it can't get worse than this. And then the next episode, you're like, it can't get worse than this.
From what I've heard, it's
not
actually
going to get worse than this.
What's it? Carol Baskin probably didn't actually do anything, is what I've heard.
Yeah, I don't know.
How would you know? You didn't watch it. I don't want to hear your opinion on something you didn't watch.
That's just what I've heard. All right.
Well,
anyway, edit all that out because it's irrelevant. But
put it at the end.
Sure.
Okay, Mike, your turn.
Yeah. All right.
I'll watch it.
All
Nina,
right.
you like it?
Jurassic Park?
Yeah, the Jurassic Park
All
movies.
of the movies.
Obviously.
All right.
Well,
when this is all over, we're going to have a watch party.
Well, it'll be Godfather and then Jurassic Park. It's
That's
going to
fine
be a
with me.
long weekend.
That's like 20 hours of shows.
Yeah.